My name is Maria Mazur. I'm a quest or narrative designer from CD Projekt Red. And today I would like to talk to you guys about something that's very close to my heart. That is creating player-facing bonus content when you virtually don't have any budget for it, accounted for, unfortunately. So that's what we've been waiting for. Basically, how to throw events in your game when you don't have any money for it. So why do it in the first place? Because I guess that's a valid question. If you are actively discouraged by your leads and you don't have money, then why create content under those circumstances? And I guess I'd say that, first of all, it's a me thing, because there's something wrong in here. And I just keep obsessing over the games I worked on. I will literally take a shower and just think about the game I was working on 5 years ago and wish that I could just jump in for 5 minutes and have a look and maybe fix something or add something new. So yeah, it's mostly a me thing, but also in this specific case, if you've played Phantom Liberty, the Cyberpunk 2077 expansion, you might have realized that one of our main characters is played by Idris Elba. And while he was negotiating with us, he actually made one additional request, because you may know him as an actor, but he actually started out as a DJ. And he was pretty prominent before he became famous as an actor. So he wanted to create a custom, specific just for our game, a DJ set. And yeah, I was excited when I heard about it, and I immediately started thinking, like, I'm personally a classical music nut, so for me, when I hear that someone is going to introduce some new repertoire of, is performing, even outside of Europe, obviously. But my point is, I will try to make an effort and see it live, because I feel like that's the best way to do it. So I figured if you're a fan of Idris Elba, you would want to participate in such an event yourself. Obviously, it won't be possible for most of our gamers. So yeah, I wanted to create an opportunity like that for Night City dwellers. That's one thing, but also, so the music that's included in the DJ set is actually created by both Idris Elba, that's one song, and the rest of it was created by Private Press, those two gentlemen. They are Polish artists, and yeah, they basically did us a solid, and they did an amazing work, so I wanted to shine a light on them as well. And I figure if I were a musician, I wish I was, but I'm not talented that way, but if I was, I would want to gain as much exposition from such a cooperation, right? If I get to stand in the spotlight of Idris Elba, I would want that, and I wanted that for the guys. Sorry, I usually move both my hands, so it's confusing to have a microphone. So if you cannot hear me, or you hear me too much, then scream. I will stop. Yeah, so why did I want to do it specifically? As a brief self-bio, I'm a quest designer or narrative designer. That depends on your terminology, I guess. Here are some projects I worked on. I will shine a specific light on Thronebreaker, because it's a great game. And if you haven't played it, play it. And if you have, I'm just saying, that's like the hottest thing ever, and I am single, so just saying. Currently, I am working on Haydar, super secret AAA project, and I'm proud to say I'm actually responsible for the whole area of quest design. And as you can see, Cyberpunk has consumed like half of my life and all of my brain. So yeah, I'm deeply immersed in that. I would like to walk you guys through a little bit, because I know that different companies look differently on narrative design and quest design. In our case, at CD Projekt Red, I would split it into like two types of responsibilities. on one hand, you have content. So normally, a senior quest designer or narrative designer will be responsible for one part of the overarching main storyline. But also, you will get a full storyline in side content so that you can create something from beginning to end yourself. And additionally, quest designers in our company take ownership of certain gameplay loops or features. For instance, if you've played Cyberpunk, you might have noticed that you can purchase apartments and you have different interactivities in there. So that's something that might not immediately scream quest designer, narrative designer, but that is something that our quest designers own. You're supposed to take care of the whole thing yourself. And on the other side, you have the functional split. So you are both responsible for designing the whole thing on paper, let's say, but you're also implementing, scripting, that's also yours. So for me, it's just a perfect connection of responsibilities. I honestly feel like that was a perfect fit for me. So in my case, for Phantom Liberty, I did the Killing Moon quest. That's the one at the spaceport. If you've played it, you hopefully did this ending, not the other one, because that one sucks. And I also created the Lida Malina side quest. Again, if you've played it, you will recognize it. Apart from that, I am the owner of media content. That means all the stuff that's happening on TV and all the stuff that's happening on radio. And that's basically why we are here right now, because whenever we are adding something to the radio, that's where I come in. And as an example, here is a little party I threw to include the new radio station, Growl FM. For a tiny little bit of context, and I will lean out to see the timer, and it's perfect. Anyway, for a bit of context, that's a radio station that's created from tracks that were sent in as part of this contest amongst our players. So yeah, all the songs are written by someone who really cares about our game. That was very cool. So I wanted them to have as much exposition and as much fun, basically, for the players as I could come up with. And here, that's also something I had to do with no budget. So if you have a chance, please step in there and look at my desperation. And that's the logical part of the whole thing. So as you see, I have to design, set up, and script all that's happening there. As part of Phantom Liberty, we added several stations, and I made sure that each one of them has that unique narrative background, so to speak. There is Dark Star, we will get to that in a moment. Growl FM, you've seen. Dogtown Propaganda, that might not be obvious, but if you've been walking around Dogtown and you heard Kurt saying stuff in the background, that's also mine. And finally, we get to Impulse. That's the DJ set created by Idris Elba. Yes. So what I wanted for this introduction of the new station, I wanted, as I said, an organic way to explore the set. So how would you normally do it if you were in real life? Exposition for private press, because, as I said, they did a great job, and I wanted them to have as much time in the spotlight as possible. And as a bonus, I just thought it was fun to go to a party and have fun with Keanu Reeves and Idris Elba at the same time. I guess it was a fantasy I wanted to realize. Now, to what I had. I had myself and all that I could do, basically. Other than that, music, and here you have a track list, one song by Idris Elba, Mr. Keeper, and otherwise it's all private press. I had a logo created by our UI artists, because it had to be done, basically. I didn't have to request it. If you add something to our radio system, it has to have an icon, so I won there. And lastly, I had posters because I basically just cashed in a favor with our concept artist and begged, please, please give me posters. And he did, so yay. I had those 3 things, and, well, me, as I said. What I needed to create this custom feel, unique event that people will feel like that's something done specifically for them to enjoy and I guess have fun with Idris. I needed custom characters because, well, the whole point, the whole fun factor of that is kind of centered around Idris, right? That you're coming to his party. So I needed that central character to be recognizable at least a bit. We will get to that in a moment. I needed to connect it to the lore because, well, I believe that any time when you're adding something to a pre-existing game, it's best to, well, yeah, just connect it to all the other stuff. It makes it feel alive and authentic. Interactive activities, because we are not making a movie, we are making a game. So I needed some stuff for the player to do, and again, no budget for it. I needed dialogue lines, and that is impossible if you've ever had anything to do with a game that has localization for multiple languages. You know that that's a huge, huge cost, and no one will allow you more lines that they planned for you. So I needed them. I didn't have them. I needed custom assets. That's, I think, pretty obvious. Otherwise, it feels reused and like I'm stealing from other parts of the game. Obviously, I did that, but I put a spin on it so it doesn't feel like stealing. And in the end, you need a place to throw all that in, so it's not just in my head. And that was a unique location that couldn't be created by anyone because I couldn't have any of those things because they all cost something. And unless, actually I had this deal with my director that basically if it doesn't affect any of my other tasks, if it doesn't affect the main storyline and the side quests, etc., then I can work on it, but I cannot engage anyone from other disciplines. And anything that I create, so let's say I created a new character, that has to get a green light from the character art lead. So basically, anything I did outside of the quest stuff, I had to get approval from all the people that are normally involved. So it was a bit of a gamble because I knew that if I don't deliver, it all goes out the window, even if it's just a little thing. Like if the VFX lead says, I don't like that, then unfortunately everything is dead, but I figured it was worth it. So starting with characters, as I said, Idris is at the center of this, so I knew I would have to put him on the stage. But the question was how to make him, well, recognizable enough, but not too much. Because as you've noticed when you played Phantom Liberty, if you did, if you didn't, play it. So Idris Elba plays Solomon Reed in the expansion. And without spoilers, he's like this super secret spy who works undercover as a bouncer. You can actually meet him in Night City. But basically, he's like a very secretive person. So adding him as also, the bouncer, then the spy, and then this super famous DJ, it just wouldn't make sense. So one thing I knew, I couldn't use his actual face because it would be very awkward to see him on the stage. And yeah. The point here was that Mr. Keeper, the DJ, is Idris's alter ego, not Solomon Reed's alter ego. And that is how I figured the easiest way would be to slap a helmet on him. Because otherwise I would have to use just a random NPC, and that felt sad, and well, I didn't want that. couldn't use the real face, so that was the next best thing, I guess. But it actually affected the whole theme quite positively. It pulled everything together in the end. And yeah, everyone else was wearing helmets too, because I guess that works the best for me, just not seeing faces. And yeah, as I mentioned, private press. I wanted them to have this special moment. Here as well, I couldn't use their faces, not because they are too famous, but because, well, I didn't have budget for the whole scanning thingy. So yeah, it was either random NPCs or, again, golden helmets, and golden helmets just won with me that day. And also, it kind of created its own Easter egg completely by chance. It kind of looks like Daft Punk, so yay, random Easter eggs. And I was very pleased to see, because I set up this whole like photo op for them on the red carpet. So it was great to see how many people actually did interact with them in this way. It's always lovely to see our players do something you wanted them to do, instead of breaking the game, obviously. Yeah, and aside from that, I made sure that their biographies, like in-game, in the Cyberpunk reality, would be what they would want to see themselves do. Yeah, I added their own real names to that, Adam Brodsky and Wojcicki, because I figured if I saw an Easter egg and I didn't know what it's about, I would Google it. So hopefully that's some exposition for them as well. And yeah, well, we named the orbital station that they are from after their friend, because that's something they cared about. So it's Grobel Orbital Station. And it was overall, like, they became part of the Cyberpunk lore, and that's something that makes me happy every time. And that gets us to lore. And we are a bit late, but fine. I will try to make time for Q&A in the end, but if you have something like very burning, just raise your hand and I will hopefully see you, because there's a light there that binds me. Anyway, lore. So let's go back to the Cyberpunk 2020 by Mike Pondsmith. That's our source material that we basically built all our stuff on. He actually came up with this community of high riders. Those are people who live and die on the orbit. Basically, they might not ever step foot on Earth. And it's a very separate culture. They have their own music. We'll get to that. They have their customs, language. Basically, it's like a very well-defined, distinctive group of people. It's not greatly expositioned, either in the source material or actually in our game. So this was my chance to get something old school in that. And that's why the High Riders took over one of the stations, because see, I was working on the spaceport mission, I was working on the radio content, and I kind of like to pull stuff together so that I feel like I'm part of the whole thing. So yeah, if you will be at the spaceport, you will notice that there is like this huge marketing campaign that's promoting the radio station. There are like posters, music is playing here and there. Basically, the idea is that Orbital Air, sorry, I didn't mention that. Orbital Air is this corporation that basically monopolized space travel in 2077. So if there is a radio that comes from people in space, it would make sense for that corporation to try to get as much out of it as possible. And why am I talking about Darkstar at all? Well, because two of the tracks on that radio station are actually done by Idris Elba. like every artist that's included in our music content, he received his own Cyberpunk alter ego, Mr. Keeper. And yeah, when I learned about the DJ set, I knew that there's one song that's actually sang by Idris. Well, I could have created a whole new alter ego for that radio station, but it would just be weird because you can hear it's Idris Elba in both. So I guess he would have like another layer of undercover things, and that would be too complicated. So Mr. Keeper became a high rider, and Mr. Keeper became the DJ who will be promoting that whole event in Night City. Yeah, and thus Dark Star, Orbital Air, and Impulse became kind of connected. It was also very useful for me because, well, personally, I'm more of a person who doesn't, I like the less guidance, more freedom approach in my stuff. I personally hate it when I have a pointer and I'm supposed to run there, and I don't know why. So yeah, whenever I can, I try to set up things that are just supposed to be found, but not necessarily by everyone, right? And when you're working on content that's co-created with other developers, there is much more pressure to expose it very clearly so that we are not investing in something that will be only seen by a couple of people. A couple, maybe that's an overstatement, but yeah, basically not everyone, right? And I completely get it because, well, if you're investing, you want returns from that. But here, when I'm just working on my own, there is less pressure, so that's where I get to do something, yeah, the way I would perfectly like it. So here, I had the perfect opportunity because there is this contact in your phone that keeps sending you ads about stuff. So among those ads, there is an invitation to the concert, and you might assume it's just spam, but if you go and check, it's a fun surprise. And that's basically it about lore. The next thing was activities. So things for the player to hopefully click on and have fun. Well, that's the cheapest thing, written text. It's the easiest one to get because, well, I can just kind of, put it in there and not tell anyone, and it just happens on its own. So it's a little secret. And yeah, I had a bunch of those, some like manifesto by Mr. Keeper, some biographies, just stuff that if you want, you can just sit there and listen to the music and read up on some fun cyberpunk lore. I also had a website. However, yeah, in Cyberpunk, we have websites for different stuff, and you can, well, mostly read, but also sometimes do something there. However, I knew I couldn't request a new website because it would get rejected immediately. But I already had a Darkstar website, so I just didn't tell anyone and added more website, like sub-pages to that, and hey, it worked, so yay. Yeah. But other than that, I needed some physical activities. So yeah, I'm not an artist, I'm not an animator, so I knew I would have to steal from other spots in the game. But you can dance there, you can, like, I guess, cheer, take pictures in the custom setups, for instance, on the red carpet. Basically, just stuff that I knew I could steal and it wouldn't feel empty for our players. And here, you can see how it works. That's a custom animation made for one of the quests in the base game. And there I just yeah, steal it, and there it goes. And another example, you can see a slow dancing scene. Again, a custom created for the quest, and then for 0 money, I just take it and nobody knows. The next thing I was stealing the whole time was dialog lines. As I said, no voiceovers at all, so everything I could place there had to be taken from elsewhere. But yeah, I figured it only felt natural to have some dialogue, unless it's like a silent disco. It would be weird to just have music in the club and then nobody says anything, or someone says something random because you like bumped into them. Here is a line written specifically for one of the quests in Phantom Liberty, and here it's stolen by me. But since it's not used with all the other lines, it doesn't, I guess it doesn't feel stolen. It's not perfectly clear right away that I just took it out of a quest and reused it. Similarly here, I actually, that's from my quest, so I guess my past self saw me coming and said, let's write one that fits everywhere. And that's what happened because, yeah, here you take a selfie with 2 people, and there you take a selfie with 2 people and a construct no one else can see. So it makes sense, and that's important. And similarly, you have a quest in base game with Carrie and Askrax. If you've played the game, you probably played this. And yeah, again, stolen line. Here, actually, I had some lines that got cut. They were recorded, but then for whatever reason, given scene or chat had to be removed. But yeah, I found it. It wasn't used, so no one can blame me for taking it, obviously. Yeah, and just to show you how digging for lines actually looks, that's my quest at the spaceport. That's the impulse event where the line also happily fit. And here on the left, you can see like the whole structure that handles background chats, just background stuff happening in the spaceport. And there is that red arrow that enlarges it to the stuff on the right. And in those little red blocks sit like all the dialogues and all the logic of the actor's behavior. So basically, you have to click on a lot of stuff and find what fits. We have thousands of scenes like that in Engine, so it was a fun weekend for sure. Yeah, but I also needed custom assets, and as I said, not an artist. I can only like rescale and repaint. That's the extent of it. But yeah, I've been working on the spaceport mission from the get-go, so I knew about all the developments in terms of the visual design, even if I wasn't involved in that. So that's an early concept art for the main hall area, and I will draw your attention to those little balls, like holograms in there. That's the moon and Mars. And in the final product, we don't have those because it no longer made sense. See, like lore-wise, in the game, the moon terminal is closed, so you don't have passengers there that are supposed to go to the moon. And on the other side, if it was Mars, then it wouldn't make sense to be this many passengers because that's not a very like touristy location. It's more for work, I guess. And that gave me too little to work with. So we figured, okay, let's swap the Mars terminal with a Crystal Palace terminal because that's a very exclusive, luxurious place, and it dictated that all the passengers will be like rich-looking and drinking champagne and stuff. But that's just a bit of background, I guess. The point is the holograms are not there anymore, but they are here at my concert because, see, I knew that someone had already prototyped that, and well, I found it in the editor, and I used it, because why not? No one had any objections. And yeah, I also, when I use something, I try to think of like 5 different ways to use it, because if I'm putting effort in, then I have to. So those are like little night lights that I made with assets, basically rescaling. And that's sold at the merch stand at the event to make it feel more like a real concert. So yeah, even with those hollow balls, I still felt like the stage is kind of empty, and you know it's like a tall ceiling. So if I just placed other stuff on the floor, it would just be crowded on the floor and then nothing above it. So yeah, I tried to get the backup dancers for Idris a bit elevated. That's where I started to think about those afterlife water tubes. If you've been to Night City, and I hope you have, you probably visited the most iconic bar there, Afterlife. And there is this custom asset. It was created specifically for Afterlife. Those lovely ladies with oxygen masks that just like submerged in water and dancing in those tubes. Yeah, so that looked like something that would be fun on my stage, but obviously I couldn't take it just like that because, well, they are custom for Afterlife, and everyone would know that I steal things. So instead, I removed the glass, removed water, added electricity VFX on bottom and top. What else? I changed the outfits a bit to fit the gold theme, I guess. And yeah, helmets, because I like helmets, apparently. I kept the animation, the little dance they are doing, but now they are obviously not floating in water, they are floating in 0G. So that, again, like pulls the space theme together. And yeah, you cannot throw a party for a celebrity without signature cocktails. That's basically just repainted drinks from our game to fit the Moon-Mars theme. So it's red and blue. And oh, Jesus, sorry, I clicked too fast. But I added like pointers how to make those drinks in the menu, and then I was very pleasantly surprised to see that people actually did make those. That was very nice. And finally, a place to drop all that, the location. So yeah, I basically had to go on a trip across Night City to find a club that would work, and no one would have to do any additional work there. So it had to be a pre-existing location. I knew that it couldn't be something associated with gangs because, first of all, potentially problematic quest-wise, but most importantly, I don't know if Idris Elba would be comfortable with being associated with, scavengers or something. So yeah, I knew that it had to be kind of blank to fit my intentions in terms of lore, but also in terms of just the setup. I didn't want, I needed a location that would be empty enough to fit all my stuff, and I wouldn't have to remove all the other stuff because it's bound to break and bugs everywhere. So yeah, if you can avoid the bugs, just do it. And here you can see some comparisons between the default state of the Riot Club that was chosen by me and the actual event. Yeah, here's some doorway, and here you have the merge stand and the photo op with private press. That's the dance floor by default, like in open world, if you were to come there. And that is the dance floor during the event. Here, the default DJ, and here, Idris and his dancers. why put all that effort in simply to make it feel like there is something custom happening, right? I hope people appreciated it. So to sum up, what I wanted was to give you an opportunity to organically experience the set. I wanted exposition for the musicians because I feel like that's important. And as a bonus, a chance to just dance around with Keanu Reeves and Idris Elba. You never know when will be the next opportunity to do so. But I will check the time, yes. Yeah, so let's have a look at other examples from my content that basically do the same thing, because I want to show you that it's scalable and obviously low budget, because it's more like no budget plus me. And yeah, it always, the core of it all is just the experience for the player. I guess I'm a bit obsessive, so I just keep thinking about that. Yeah, but there are also bits of me, because I find it important to have stuff that's referencing me, my own little Easter egg just for myself. So most recently, in the most recent content patch, we added a bilateral mini quest. That's mine. And here, yeah, it's all done, again, with no budget, just stuff that I managed to do. I don't want to spoil it unless, in case you guys want to play it yourselves. It's basically a scavenger hunt that's based on our text message system. So that's just written text, so I can sneak in a lot of that. And yeah, I made the trophy. Basically, all the rewards you can get, I made myself. Like that's the golden thingy. That's a little fan that has been rescaled and repainted. So yeah, imagine that. But yeah, it's. Oh, and that's what it looks like from my side, in a way, so my preferred side, the logic of it all. Basically, it's a lot of little blocks that are supposed to give you the impression that it's a real system. So if you respond to messages, you will get different stuff, etc. Yeah. Another one from the cheap side of things. So these are proxies for NPCs. If you don't know what a proxy is, basically we are loading characters in different stages of details. So when you're up close, you will get maximum details, and it's very pretty. If you're far away, you will get this. And yeah, as a real-life NPC, it looks pretty awful. But if you then rescale it and make it small, it can be like a collectible figurine. Of course, you have to drop it in an aquarium and, yeah, like splat a logo on it, make a little bow, and it can be sold on a merch stand. So, yeah, that was actually made because I couldn't request. I wanted a reward for my minor quest from Lina Malina, and I couldn't get an outfit for the player because the character art team said, no. Yeah, but I mean, I get it because they didn't have resources to work on it, but still, that meant that I had to make collectible figurines from proxies. Fun. Anyway, here, I also worked on the romance patch. It's like this patch where we added hangouts with your partner. You can ask them to your place and listen to music and stuff. So yeah, so from my side, when I was thinking about how to make it a bit more special, I figured, well, after the date, it would be nice if each partner would leave you something to eat or drink and a little love note. So yeah, and if you are a fan of Panam, you might know that she's actually like very affectionate towards pierogi. And it was that goes back to like my QA background, because we were all extremely frustrated that Cyberpunk doesn't have pierogi, because we have pierogi shops right? They're all over the place. And what you can see through the window are those buns. It doesn't make sense. It was awful for QA, I promise. So yeah, I realized my biggest fantasy of all time, apparently, and I took those buns and pulled them in different directions and made pierogi from them, and that's what you can see on the plate. That's like my biggest achievement, I believe. But yeah, similarly, as part of the Romance patch, I added this option for you to order a gift for your partner, and it will be sent to their apartment. You get a choice between flowers in different colors and cars, like mini model cars, different models to choose from. So just so you know, that's, again, a rescaled aquarium, a rescaled proxy, 2 katana stands they are holding the car upwards. And on the bottom, there is this canteen tray that was nice and shiny, so I flipped it over and made it smaller. Yeah, and actually, just to tie in with the ordering of the gifts, there I actually made something that I enjoyed, but it's not connected to the work of any other discipline. That's just in the quest structure. Basically, I always felt, I don't know if you know, but in Cyberpunk, you can actually date 2 people at the same time, and you have these like robust quests with them, and it all feels very involved. And still, if you're, let's say, female, you can date Judy and River, right? At the very same time, and the game never acknowledges that, and it was driving me nuts because I feel like that's something we should have in there. Obviously, with no dialogues to add, I couldn't create this scenario where they find out and there's this huge breakup. But when I was writing the messages where you order the gifts for your partner, you can add a note for them. And let's say if you're dating Judy, you can add a completely generic note, like with love, V. But you can also write a note that's referencing specifically something that you went through together. So for Judy, for instance, you go, sorry for spoilers, you go underwater and you like do this quest with her. It's all underwater. So the love note was kind of referencing that. However, if you're romancing River at the same time, you will also have the generic version, Love V, but you will have the River-specific version. He gave you a gun, I think? I don't know. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm not a fan of Rivers, so don't quote me on that. But yeah, so basically, if you were romancing both of them, you will have 3 different options to leave a note. And I remember, because there was an article that it's a bug. It's not a bug, obviously, because there are different responses for, like, if you send the River note to Judy, she will be deeply confused about what you're saying here. But at the same time, I knew that I cannot blow the whole thing up. So it's not, I love you, River, sent to Judy, because, well, then you would be in trouble. It's just a bit awkward, and that's it. But I'm proud of including that in the setup. Oh yeah, and that's also one that's very close to my heart, and also one that's completely it's just written text and like an evening of my work. So I guess it means that an evening of my work is worth nothing, but well, still, maybe it was a weekend. Anyway, probably. So at the spaceport, you can pick up those lost letters. There are love letters between a pilot and a flight attendant. And the last one you actually find, again, I don't want to spoil the quest, but basically there's a shootout, and unfortunately the flight attendant will die as a bystander. And yeah, you can pick up the final letter. Basically in this story, it's all about like they are in love and they would like to create a life together, but their jobs are kind of literally even pulling them apart as they are flying all over the place. And yeah, and it ends with a proposal. The pilot proposes. Did I click? No, sorry. So yeah, the pilot proposes, and there is no answer at the time. But in the final letter that you find with the flight attendant, she actually says, yes, we will do it, like, let's start a life together. And obviously, if she dies here, the pilot will never get the letter. However, as you've picked it up on your way, you go through the quest till the very end, and you get a message about Orbital, so that corporation that runs the whole thing. They are organizing a memorial for all the victims of the shootout. And here you can actually approach the pilot and return the letter, and she will be very grateful. My point here is I reused some dialogues, obviously, because, well, I have a way of stealing them, I guess. Sorry. But other than that, it's all just written text. It's all just thinking about how can I add some more activities for the player. This way, with minimal budget, I'm actually giving the player a chance to become a part of this story that had no budget for it, and it still feels pretty real and authentic. And now, I would like to touch upon AI, because we cannot have a talk without AI somewhere in there. So yeah, as you can, if you've played Cyberpunk, you will know that all the developers actually have been kind of living in that story for a very long time, because in Cyberpunk, we actually had this whole cataclysm of AIs becoming rogue, and they've been sent like behind the black wall, which is supposed to protect us. So yeah, we've already had the dark scenario in our heads for a very long time. But I refuse to see it that way, because I see so much potential, probably as most of us do. I would like to very quickly, walk you through the process, like a very, very basic case study. It starts with an idea to have a pink-haired NPC dancing in a club in Night City. Right? It's one sentence that takes 2 seconds. Very simple, as I said. Then you have the stage of implementation, where you implement it and make it happen. Then you do a review. You go and see, does it feel fun? Is it what I wanted? And if it's not, then you find ways to iterate on it. Well, I'm assuming most of us know that cycle. So just looking at the implementation part alone, I will very quickly click through this, but basically I want you guys to see all the steps that are required either from me, or I can outsource it for like someone else, but all in all, someone has to do it, right? So I have to create an appearance, I have to create an entity, that's the whole logic within the NPC. I have to create a record for the NPC, and then create localization strings, because the NPC needs a name in case someone scans it. I need to create a community file, find a desirable spot, so a club somewhere. And yeah, I have to create a community node in that spot, in that club. Then I have to set up like these logic objects that I will reference then in the community file, so that the NPC knows where to appear. Then I have to find the right animation, and I have to plug it into the logic object so that the NPC knows what to do once they appear. And finally, I have to go to the structure and actually spawn that NPC. And yeah, additionally, I would have to also set up a cleanup so that it's not loaded in the game forever. Basically, those are all the steps. And honestly, if I could have someone who doesn't make mistakes, because it may seem like busy work, but it's actually something that you have to kind of focus on. It doesn't take anything from me creatively. It just takes attention because I cannot make a mistake because then it will break. If I had someone to do it for me, and I would just do the steps of like idea, review, and iteration, I would be absolutely blown away by that. So I am definitely counting on AI to take away some of the nuisances by letting me keep the other stuff. But yeah, see, why the other stuff is mine and not AI's, right? Because obviously ideas, reviews, and iterations can be very well done by artificial intelligence, probably even more efficiently. Well, for sure, more efficiently. Well, so for me as a player, and I guess as a designer as well, I value very highly the feeling of connection between, well, me and the creator or me and the player. And by connection, I mean that the most magical moment for me is when I do something that I don't expect any reaction from the game. I will just say something very stupid or, I don't know, unexpected. And it turns out that the game does have a response, not because it's operating so efficiently that it can come up with a response itself, right? But because there was actually a person who made sure that my scenario would be covered. For me, it's a completely different feeling when I know that there was someone in the past looking to the future. They saw me and they were like, well, let's find a scenario for Maria, because I guess she will have fun. So for me, that's the most important thing, and that's the thing that kind of should keep us alive in the business in the coming years. Just the feeling of the fact that there's someone there, someone human, someone who is real and not just pretending to be human. Because yeah, that's another kind of gripe I have with all that. It's that we are constantly pushing AI to imitate our own behaviors, right? Our own work, but faster and more efficiently. And yeah, personally, I would be, I mean, all that gives us is more games faster, right? We already can create great games, and we will be getting great games eventually, just faster and more of them. Can you play all the games you would like to in a year? There's no way. Obviously, that's the center of my life, and still, I will never catch up. 8 minutes. Yeah, so I personally would be very excited to see a game created by AI for AI. If we hadn't just like trained it to be ourselves, I wish we could explain the concept of entertainment and try to see what entertains an entity so much brighter and faster than us. But yeah, well, right now we won't know. I hope we will in the future. And that's basically my message, that the thing that makes, well, our content special is both us and the person you see in the future playing your content. At least that for me personally. I don't think there's a person I think about more. I shouldn't say that to my family, but yeah, that's basically the person I think about the most, just the collective figure of our players. And yeah, I hope that we kind of managed to build in this very short time a connection between us, and I hope you will stop by anything that you've seen today and kind of hang out with the past me that built it. So thank you very much for your time and attention. And if we have time, we can do a quick Q&A. And actually, if you don't want to, go ahead. I'm just saying that if someone wants to talk about something or anything, just reach out. And I love talking about my work and other stuff and games and music. So just scream, and I will be there.
Hello, hi.
Hey.
Great talk, thank you. I think quest designers and level designers are having like the most fun.
Absolutely,
in the whole
like my best friends are level designers. So.
Because I'm a game designer myself. Anyway, my question is, in your experience with Cyberpunk or like your experience in general, are there cases of developers, like engineers or artists, doing like this low-budget thing or adding some Easter eggs on their own, or is it more of a designer thing?
For sure, Easter eggs on their own, that's a thing. I don't think I've seen many people try to double in quest design. I think it's just because their roles are usually, like, my role is about figuring some hacks here and there. In most ways, I just have to try to, find a way to address something, basically.
My line of thinking here is if some engineer could come up with some extra free logic and some artists came with extra free assets, then your job would be less about stealing and more about using these
Absolutely,
assets.
and I have like countless stories that are exactly that. For instance, I had an asset artist who created a bunch of stuff for the base game, and it was just never used. And it came up completely at random. He just was complaining in the kitchen that, I hope you will be using all the stuff that I created for you, because last time someone asked me, and then I cannot even show it in the game. So then I just took all that stuff and used it in my quest so that, he would have some more exposition. So absolutely, like, it depends on the person, but whenever besides, people know already in our company that if they have something they want to put in the game, then they have to approach me and I will find a way.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for your talk. I wanted to ask, because you talked so much about stealing assets and, kid bashing stuff and all, which is something I relate to because I work in a pretty small studio. But I wanted to ask if there were instances in development when the studio actually splurged on you. That's never happened to me, so that's why I'm asking. Must be nice. So were there any examples of, like, you have an idea as Maria, and then everyone goes, yeah, great idea, here, this is your allotted resources of people and their time?
Okay, so I think that's on me fully, because whatever I get, I feel like it's not enough. So I shouldn't be complaining that much about the budget, because I actually got a perfectly normal budget for the main quest, for the side quest. It was normal. Just as I was building it, I kept seeing, like, oh, this would be fun, this is cool, this is this little thing that one person is going to find, and I have to do it. Like, I'm, again, as I said, a bit obsessive in some ways. So yeah, absolutely. The spaceport quest had a big budget. I just wanted more, so I tried to, create it by myself.
I relate to that intensely. Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, thanks, Maria, for the presentation.
I'm sorry, the light is killing me, so I will be like squinting. So.
That's totally fine, no worries. Yeah, I was saying that thank you for the presentation. I think it nicely shows the way how developers band the limitations. And I had essentially two questions. The first one is related to the presentation, right? I understand this is a side hustle in a way, and you had a lot of the creative freedom here. However, when it comes to the main game, how much creative freedom you have? Yeah.
So let's take the first one.
Yeah.
That depends. That depends on your coworkers, basically. It's all well, from my point of view, it's like constant, just floods of communication that you have to go through, but it is worth it because you build a trust with your coworkers, your teammates. So yeah, I'd say that I get a lot of freedom in my own department, and I get a lot of influence on at least some aspects. You know, us Quest designers, with level designers, with writers, with cinematic designers, those are the people that we basically have to all come together to agree on something. But then again, as a Quest designer, you're kind of the owner of your content. I mean, the whole Quest, right? So yeah, it's usually just give or take this way or that way. And if you're friends with people, that's so much easier.
Yeah. Usually easier. Yeah, thanks for that. The second one is probably a bit more personal. So you mentioned Thronebreaker. Nice game, by the way. Thanks for the shout out. I do stand for that. What's so special about the game? What were you doing there?
Oh, I was a QA there. I fell in love with game dev because of that game. Like I started. Basically, I came to this company and I figured, okay, 3 months and then a serious job, like a corporate job. Yay. That was literally the plan. And yeah, after 1 month, I was sold. I couldn't imagine anything else for myself. I actually worked back then with the game director. Like I was supposed to handle the reviews of the whole game. So I had months of just exposure to the main decider in the game. And it was just, I don't think I peaked in terms of like the learning curve faster in any other period of my experience compared to that. So it's a sweet memory that I absolutely cherish. It was also nice because it was a small team. So yeah, you could see everything.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, maybe one last question because I don't think we have time.
Yeah, just poke me or grab me outside if anyone has something.
Thank you.
Hi.
I'll keep it short. Did you ever feel like you were a modder? Because I feel like your working pipeline is very similar to what the modding community often does. I myself was a Saints Row modder, and despite having no artistic talent or capabilities to create my own textures, models, I actually used like leftovers, some scraps buried in the game which were never used to create scripts which utilized them. So have you ever thought of your work in such a way?
Not before joining the company, because as I said, I was on a completely different path. This was just like something fun to talk about to people. I used to work with the Witcher people, and that was it. I only came to the company because I liked the Witcher so much, and I played Gwent for a long time. But anyway. Yeah, so I haven't been dabbling in modding before coming to the company, and then every person that I meet in our company who is an ex-modder actually says, that makes so much sense. Like, why not? And I'm just, I wish I could at this point. I'm just busy doing extra work for the company. But yeah, it absolutely makes sense that you'll see that.
It's wonderful being employed, just doing mods full time.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maria. It was great, honestly.